We stand on the shoulders of all the ancestors that fought for us. There is something that I learned lately when I think about, for example, the Battle of Vertières, 1803 in Haiti, November 18, 1803. I'm thinking of all the ancestors, for example, giving their bodies, you know, the mothers, the women, all the soldiers, everyone coming together to fight for one common cause against the oppression, slavery, but you giving your body. There is like, this is the highest unconditional love you can give. To me, that's, yeah, this is it. You know, this is I'm standing on the shoulders of all these people and all the bodies that were breaking and you know, flesh and all of that. That's what we're standing on today, to keep on singing for them, continue the tradition, continue the movement, the dancing, the singing, to remind ourselves of who we are.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Divine all blessed greetings and salutations. This Monday, it is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Voodoo, Hoodoo 101. Powered, produced, promoted, sponsored, and supported by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. We are inspired by National Voodoo Day in Benin and led by the Black local community spiritual leaders. New Orleans International Voodoo Day is a day of collective remembrance and spiritual reparation that is preceded by a symposium and includes a procession to important monuments at the sites of slavery in the city, ritual to account for and seek absolution for the city's and the country's participation in the institution of slavery. Homage to the ancestors who suffered through and survived the transatlantic slave trade, and honor and appreciation for the achievements of those who came out of this oppression. 2 days of education, Saturday and Sunday, May 23rd and 24th, 2026. 2 days of education, creative expression, elevation, cultural exchange, and above all, healing through authentic voodoo traditions handed down through generations. We offer a path to healing from the ongoing ramifications of slavery and racism in the United States. And we're certainly thankful and appreciative of your continued support and participation in this powerful and growing international event by visiting us at www.voodooday.org. And that's spelled VODOUDAY.org. And we invite you to volunteer, to support, to sponsor, donate, and participate in this powerful international bridging event, which unites us with West Africa, with Central and South America, and certainly with the ATR practitioners here in the U.S. and throughout the global diaspora. We're also grateful for your continued support and participation in our Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time, live daily chat by way of social media site or our StreamYard link. We are certainly appreciative of you, Daniel Neal, faithful member of our community, for your continued support and participation. Greetings and salutations, Lisa Mikado. We certainly appreciate you for your participation and support live from Boston. And we certainly are grateful for the time and commitment and effort that our elders and co hosts continue to share with us at 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. The Queen Mother, Sister Toni Val Martinez, our beloved activist and community leader, Elder Reggie, we identify as Green Soap, the founder and leader of Shrine of the White Cloth, and co administrator of NOIVD. Our beloved faithful Queen Mother Sister Bianca Johnson Plessy, faithful member of NOIVD and La Source on 4, and my first priest, armor bearer, Black Hawk Voodoo Wild Man, Brother Joshua Nylan Tanner, also faithfully committed to NOIVD, co-administrator, and initiated member of La Source Home 4. We will be unmuting your mics momentarily just after a brief reorientation about our ongoing topic, healing generational trauma. And we often talk about doing ancestral work and veneration. My house offers ancestral work and divination, which allows us to greater explore our background, our ancestral lineage, and that memory that's attached to each and every one of us and shows up in a variety of ways. But we want to talk more about the healing, breaking the chains, breaking the blocks in association with this work and doing shadow work. There are many unexplained symptoms you might associate with generational traumas, anxiety and depression with no clear cause from your own life or present circumstances, phobias or fears that seem irrational, physical symptoms that don't respond to treatment, reoccurring nightmares about events you have not experienced, feeling emotions that don't seem to belong to you. And despite your best efforts, you find yourself recreating your parents' relationship dynamics, struggling with the same issues that plagued your family, playing the same role in relationships your parents played, experiencing similar life events at similar ages, and unable to break cycles you swore you would never repeat. How many of us come up saying, I'm not going to be like my mom, I'm not going to be like my daddy, only to have to go through some serious shadow work in your late 20s, early 30s? Generational trauma often hides in family secrets and silences, topics that are never discussed, family matter members who are never mentioned. I know I went ghost on my entire family for almost 15 years. Many of them only reconnecting with me this year. And it's surprising who didn't ask, who didn't look for, who didn't challenge. But I digress. Generational traumas often hide in family secrets and silences. Family members who are never mentioned, emotions that are never expressed, stories that don't quite add up, excessive reactions to certain topics. You might call those triggers. And you might carry inherited beliefs and behaviors like people like us don't succeed, or it's dangerous to be too happy, or we have to struggle to survive. Outsiders can't be trusted. Showing emotion is weakness. These are inherited beliefs and behaviors often attached to generational trauma and generational curses. There are shadow patterns of generational trauma. The survivor shadow. Families who survive trauma often shadow joy, ease, and abundance. There's guilt about having more than previous generations, fear that good things will be taken away, and an inability to rest or to celebrate. The shadow holds the capacity for pleasure and peace that survival mode doesn't allow. There's the loyalty shadow. Breaking family patterns can feel like betrayal. The shadow holds the parts of you that want to individuate, succeed differentially, or live outside family norms, sometimes mark the black sheep. And many people unconsciously sabotage themselves to stay loyal to family suffering. There's the expression shadow. Families with trauma often have strict rules about what can be felt and expressed. Anger might be forbidden. Sadness might be shameful. Joy might be considered dangerous. And these emotions don't disappear, they go into the family shadow, passed down as unnamed anxiety and depression. And then there's the success shadow. If your ancestors couldn't succeed due to oppression, war, or circumstance, success might be shadowed. Achieving more than your parents can trigger survivor guilt, imposter syndrome, and self sabotage. The shadow holds your right to thrive. So, in addressing these shadows and these symptoms of what we might call generational trauma or generational curses, even, we often begin by mapping your generational trauma. And, journaling is something that's required in my house and many of my clients as well. Excuse me, also have taken to journaling their thoughts, their dreams, their intuitive moments, your creative moments of inspiration, but also helping to sort of track and delineate the trauma responses and triggers that really don't necessarily come from you or originate from you, but may very well be a part of this package of generational entanglements. So we create a family tree of patterns, often mapping 3 generations, a minimum of 3 generations. Your parents, your grandparents, certainly your great grandparents, and then the living, you know, family members. And we map major traumas or losses or the absence thereof. Relationship patterns. What do marriages look like in your family? I remember being, I don't know, 2021 and considering that, my father has many siblings. His grandparents had many children, but there were very few successful, long-term, happy, healthy marriages. And so it set up a trigger for me at a very young age going into any relationship. There can be mental health issues passed down, addictions or compulsions, career and financial patterns, health issues. And we identify repeated themes, similar ages when events occur, repeated relationship dynamics, similar coping mechanisms, reoccurring losses or traumas, and inherited roles like being the scapegoat of the family, or the black sheep of the family, or the hero of the family, or the caretaker of the family. And then begin to notice your position in the shadows. What patterns am I repeating? What patterns am I rebelling against? I rebelled against wanting to duplicate my father's behaviors, wicked behaviors. And just the mention of Father's Day or fathers or any subject around that was a major trigger for me, particularly in my 20s. And it was well into my 30s when I realized that I'm not him, and I'm certainly not manifesting many of the ills and toxic behaviors that he certainly manifests. But I carry the residual energies and often the symptoms in association. I have a slight indentation in my chest from where my father was shot by the police in his 20s. I've never been shot by the police or by anybody, but I have the small imprint in my chest. So when we consider what patterns are we repeating, we also must look at what patterns are we rebelling against. What are those patterns that we say ain't me, ain't gonna be me, that then show up as shadows in other ways in our lives? And what family role do I play? What family role do you play? When do they call you? When do they call on you? When do they pull your trigger? And then how do you subsequently respond? And lastly, what am I trying to heal for my lineage? Now, for many of us, that starts with what am I trying to heal for myself so that I can be balanced and move forward. But often in doing this ancestral work, you not only provide that healing for yourself, but also for your bloodline, for your lineage. Even if they aren't aware of what you're doing, even if they don't believe or understand the dynamics of ancestral veneration, ancestral work, you are healing all the way down to the DNA level, to the cellular level. You are healing these blockages and transcending that out, and not just in our bloodlines, our relatives, our friends, our families, our peer circles, but ultimately it emanates from our daily demonstration and affects those around us. Um, I'm often amazed how often people say, how amazingly calm and still I appear to them. But those who really know me, like Brother Joshua and others, know that I have very, very critical trigger points very close to the surface that I have to constantly work to maintain and pour cooling water and bring balance to. And so the process of ancestral healing, as I close the reading for today, recognition and acknowledgement. The first step is recognizing that we're carrying more than just our own energy, than just our own trauma. And this isn't about blaming ancestors or seeing ourselves as somehow doomed or plagued. We're often the chosen generational curse breakers in our bloodlines. And we're often chosen because we possess the strength, the skills, the ability to take on the magnitude of the task. And it's about understanding the fuller picture of why we struggle through certain patterns personally and individually, and then unlock that bondage for the greater good of all in the community, acknowledging what our ancestors have survived, honoring their resilience, even as we recognize how their survival strategies may be different than what we have to deal with today, may be limiting how we address modern day issues, and often having to reassure that we're doing what we know to do and the best that we can do, but remaining open to ancestral intervention, often through dreams, through intuitive moments, through our creative uh, visions. We create new ways of not only providing that balance and healing and stability for ourselves, but also for others, differentiating self from lineage, self from outside energies. And again, journaling can play a critical role in that, distinguishing between what really is a product of our own belief or feeling in any present moment, or what we might be picking up or carrying from other people, even as much as vampiric like energies. There's those who love to place, don't know how to do anything else but place their energy, their trauma, their stories, their dramas on you, and your number is the first number they call to tell you, what happened. Did you hear? Did you see? And then after the call, you're left with this toxic feeling. So taking spiritual baths, cleansing baths, and also again working with ancestral veneration and honor to prevent that type of contamination, but also to strengthen our front line of defense. And so when we feel, these strong emotions, these patterns arising, it's very helpful to ask, how do you feel? How do I feel? Is this mine, or am I carrying this for someone else? How old is this feeling? Is this not the first time that we've felt this way with different people, different places, different things, different circumstances? And who in my lineage experienced this? Question that many of us never consider when we're doing ancestral work and divination. And what would I feel if this wasn't mine to carry? So we begin by breaking the silence, first within ourselves, and then we get comfortable enough to begin to have conversations, sometimes with our parents, our siblings, our other family members. But breaking the silence, generational trauma thrives on silence. Breaking the silence doesn't mean confronting family members or forcing conversations either. Certainly, the breaking the silence begins first with ourselves, being able to speak our truth to ourselves out loud. Sometimes looking in a mirror and being able to speak the truth about ourselves out loud, speaking the unspoken truths, journaling about family secrets, sharing the story with safe people sometimes, naming patterns that have been unnamed, and expressing emotions that have been forbidden. And finally, for today, ritual and ceremony. Ritual can be powerful for ancestral healing because it sparks the unconscious and spiritual dimensions of generational trauma. In every meeting we go into, every ceremony we go into, often Elder Reggie leads us in some degree of ancestral acknowledgement. Then we acknowledge the spirits and the elements and the forces. But then he also makes time for us to acknowledge ourselves and take the time to show love and strength and support to ourselves. So, as I invite my beloved co host to come on into the conversation, please do unmute Brother Joshua Nylan Tanner, Bianca Johnson Plessy, Elder Reggie Green Soap, please come on in, and Queen Mother Toni Val Martinez. Greetings and salutations, one and all. What say you?
Good evening, everyone. How is everyone doing?
All right, good evening.
First of all, I'd like to say it was great getting to see everybody in person on Saturday at the Day of the Dead festivities at the Healing Center. I really had a nice time. Dealing with the generational things, I was kind of, by me being adopted and being emancipated at 14, I I didn't know anything basically about my biological family, what the generations had held and everything. And I thought I was just floating on the wind myself. I just did what I do. That's just me. And I'm like this because I made myself like this, and I'm just me. And then I had my kids, and it was just us. And then when I met my biological family, which is huge, and mainly sisters, and we got to talking about our lives going back to our early adulthoods. And I found myself saying, I thought I was the only one who did that. I thought I was the only one because nobody else around in my circle of close people that I knew did the same things I did until they saw me doing, then they started doing it. If they liked it, we was hanging. But me and my sisters had so much in common to never have been around each other for over 60 years. I mean, it just boggled my mind, even much down to the foods we liked, the foods we didn't like, the men we had in our lives, the names we named our children. Um, it just boggles my mind. The things that we connected to that has to be through our DNA. And in my family, they kept in contact with the generations past because my grandmother lived a long time, and I have older siblings who knew great aunts and uncles in person and stuff. And I have a sister, Tina, the one who was looking for me and found me. She's in charge of our family tree. She went all the way back and found the people who enslaved my mother's family, and she contacted their descendants. But it just amazed me because they always say, is it nature or is it nurture? And I think it's kind of both, but more leaning to the nature side, what your nature is, what's in your bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
What say you, Joshua?
Good day, everybody. Good day.
Evening.
Sister Toni,
Mm-hmm.
Imelda, Reggie. Hope you
Mm-hmm.
guys having a good
Evening.
evening tonight. Yeah, and I agree with you, Sister Toni. Like it's a lot of information that's passed through the blood, and I know my family has many stories of cousins and distant cousins that share the same names, similar names. Even doing my genealogy, looking at just the comparison through cousins that's right next to each other, first cousins that has the same name, or they naming their children after people that they have not even met or that is not even blood related to them in terms of blood, but it could be also because of marriage. Also, culturally, a lot of things um, are intermingled that way too, depending on your, I mean, your heritage and your genealogy. Um, names meant at one point meant something specifically. Um, the names you took upon, and it was almost like titles in a way. And as we know, a lot in our family, I mean, in as we know, I think we've talked about on this podcast actually about how reincarnation is a thing in terms of people coming back to the earth. And
Mm-hmm.
when children are born, a lot of times people look at the child and see how the child's acting or how they look or their mannerisms, and like, she reminds me of, my T whoever. Or she's acting just like, and she's responding in this way. But it's just, and this, that knowing is something that we're born with. It comes from a bloodline, and from a story and culture that has lasted and still lasts. Um, so, in terms of the trauma, in terms of the DNA, that's also something that's also is passed along too, with addressing issues with that has not been dealt with, or that we as a community has just turned a naked eye to and say, oh, it's just too evil to approach or too dark to handle. And I'm like, anything that exists we can handle. We're strong people. We've handled a lot and we've been through a lot. So I don't believe that narrative, but I do believe that a lot of people, they might not want to because they might not have the information, but it doesn't mean that we can't seek to find that information, or get assistance from the spirit and those who are around us in our community to help address those issues. So
Mhm. I
Yeah, and
know.
going back to the names, I mean, you get my family together on all sides, and you just say one name, Lee, you gonna have 20 people turn around, no kidding.
yeah.
Mhm.
And John is the next one. 20 people gonna turn around.
Mhm.
And then this what strikes me and my oldest daughter. My mother's name was Marie Lee. Never knowing her. My oldest daughter's name is Lee Marie.
Mm.
That's wild to me.
Lee as in
Mhm.
Lee.
No, Lea.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, Lee.
There
But
was
we
something
call
that
her
I wanted
Leah
to
because
Sister Bianca, go. We can hear you, Sister Bianca. Hello.
hello.
yeah, we
Yes,
hear
we can hear
you.
you.
Oh, all right. Oh yeah, no, my back on. You can go ahead and finish, Sister Tony.
I was just waiting for you to come back in.
Oh no, I was I know that this is kind of a personal thing, but I do know that there are a lot of people that go through this out there in the world and in the society, as far as when we talk about generational curse and also breaking away from the generational curse. These are things that I do struggle with, and I'm pretty sure other people struggle with that. Having an understanding of this. From the family background that I come from, a lot of older generation are married. Like they stick it out through thick and thin. Probably been married for 30, 40, 50 years. But we just never know what they all went through in that marriage. And one thing that I seem to have a hard time to wrap myself around is when the older generation talk to us, they're like, "Oh, you're not strong. You know, you're supposed to stick it out through thick and thin and through rich or poor, you know, like they follow by these vows of for better or worse. And I'm like, better or worse, as in, you know, if a person lose a job, you know, you supporting each other side by side, not through abuse, like abuse or anything that happened that you're entitled to stay with that person because you're married. And you know, that's how marriage work out with control or certain things. Now that I'm married, there are a lot of things that I struggle with having balance. And it's because I've seen so much of that in older generations or grandmas and, you know, just other people in our family that have been married for so long. It's like, I don't want that. So me and my mom and some of our relatives are one of the ones that's like the strong, you know, like the strong minded woman, like, oh, we don't want this. We don't want no man to control us. We want to do everything. We want to be a businesswoman. We want to have all the jobs. We want to take care of this. We want to do this. And I end up breaking away that I actually became the wife or just want to do everything and want to control this, or like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't think it should be that way. I think it should be my way. And it kind of leave the husband feeling like, well, what am I here for? Why am I here? If you can do everything, you're a superwoman. But sometimes I have a fear of if I give a man just a little bit touch of a decision of control, I start shutting down and feeling like, oh my gosh, why don't they just try to control everything and make me a submissive wife and make me do this and XYZ, and I don't want to be the old traditional wives that I heard through all this generation. So what are you guys' intake on that?
Well, that
Can I
kind of
take us?
sound like me.
I'd like to just chime in, but first I want to give salutations to everyone on the panel and even in the collective chat that came out and supported Fet Get Aid. It was an awesome event. And what makes it awesome for me is people in the community came out and supporting the event that we don't have a long history and background of doing. We are stepping out of safe places, coming into a new arena and taking ownership in that. And I really, really appreciate that. So once again, my accliments go to everyone who participated and also the collective audience that came out. Divine Princess is laying out a beautiful topic for us tonight, and I don't want us to miss it. And Brother Joshua passed a real good football tonight when he brought back up reincarnation. So in the walk that I've been doing in this spiritual warfare, as we call it, there's two rituals that I learned. One comes from a shamanic background that the Native Americans in this land had brought forward, and we still use it today. And I just want to just read on it, please. It's only going to take a minute. And it's called soul retrieval. It's a spiritual healing practice that involves a healer, often a shaman, undertaking a journey to recover lost or fragmented parts of a person's soul. This process is based on the belief that parts of the soul can split off due to trauma, pain, prolonged stress, leaving individuals feeling emotionally, spiritually incomplete. The goal of soul retrieval is to help individuals reconnect with these lost aspects of themselves, thereby reclaiming their vitality, joy, and sense of purpose. And that is a technique, as Divine Prince eloquently lays out, shadow. Shadow has a big part tied to one's ego. Every time the ego try to rear up, the shadow comes and work hand in hand with that ego, and you got to watch it. But when you do a soul retrieval, you go deep and you relive some of the trauma, some of the things, and you ask it to leave, and you ask it to find a place of its own so you can live the life that you came in this dispensation to live. And it's a ritual, it's a healing technique. And the second one that we do and offer is called excuse me, it's called grief ritual. Right after Katrina in 2006, I spearheaded a large one at Congo Square for the people who lost and needed to grieve over Katrina. We had, of course, I worked it with a team. I just had the vision for it. But we put a team together. We brought in some Melodoma's wife, because I was working with Melodoma real heavy. We brought in Sabampo Somé, and she led it. And some of the culture barriers in the city of New Orleans worked with me to bring this thing forward. But we did a lot of healing for the city of New Orleans and the people. And so we do it now at the Shrine of the White Cloth on a small scale level. But it helps because we hold all type of grief in. We hold grief that we may experience as a 3 or 4 year old child and don't realize it is having a shadow impact on our lives. So when we get into a grief ritual space, we allow safe space for people to relieve. People could just go free with it. And after they relieve and give it up, we embrace them as a community. We hug them. We don't judge. And after that event is over, we don't need to talk about it because the shadow was separate there. Let's not carry that shadow away with us from that event. And those are two techniques as Divine Prince asks, what are we doing? We are doing things in the New Orleans area that's tying to our ancestral truth. It may not come out as a big old thing, and that's okay, but we are doing the work. And now, Sister Bianca, what I wanted to say with you, because I've been married 30 years with a traditional marriage with my wife, and she fights through some of the same things that you're going through. And I keep reiterating to my wife, it's going to be okay. You could be your individual self and still be married. You just got to be comfortable with that because men not always wanting to control. Sometimes we need an equal sharing partner, and that is not being preached and teach in the community. And that's all I had to add.
And that was a very good point. But me, I've been
That's
married
some
4
good.
times. They get 7 years. If we not moving forward, I got to go because I'm constantly moving. I am. I'm constantly learning, growing, moving. And when they got
Yeah.
stagnated and seemed like they didn't want to go any further, I had to leave them behind. I'm not going to stay there. I'm going on. And really, honestly, to this day, my second husband just not catching up to where I was when we was married in '83. And then he called me and say, you said this. You wasn't interested in hearing it back then. So I mean, oh, but I want to turn it over to the Divine Prince to give recognition to all our members out in the listening audience before Brother Elder closes out for us for tonight because we out of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. And we certainly are grateful for Lori, Volk, Rosanne for coming through, Apostle Hudson One for coming through tonight, the Holistic Diva. Thank you so much for stopping by. K Jones, 610. Cosmos, we certainly appreciate you for being here. Cosmos here. Lisa Beth, 0514. Thank you for coming through. Gucci. Let's see. Gucci got grams. Thank you so much for stopping by. One Rich Girl, 5-star. We appreciate you for coming through. Guapo Haitian Senator. Thank you so much for coming through. And Black Rob 18 and Joe Powell Jr. Thank you so much for coming through on our Instagram page.
Okay,
Elder Reggie.
we'll close out. But before we close out, once again, I want to honor the work Divine Prince and Brother Joshua done on those 2 altars. Those 2 altars was magnificent. They was powerful. For those who got a chance to see it, one represent the Rada energy and one represented the Petro energy of the Haitian Voodoo system. And I also always want to acknowledge Mambo Sally Glassman and the team of La Source because they are beautiful They are a beautiful asset to the city of New Orleans. And I don't know if they always get the acronyms, but they're not looking for that. But at this time and before we close out, I just want to acknowledge that. Our next new moon ritual prayer and application ceremony will occur on Wednesday, November the 21st. It's in the sign of Scorpio. I got to say yay because I'm a Scorpio. At 6:30 p.m. The location is 710 Cluett. Is a ritual spiritual warfare gathering. And it's time for warfare. It is time for warfare, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
That date is wrong. It's a Friday.
Right. Okay. It's
21st is a Friday.
It is November the 21st, though, right?
Yeah, it's the 21st, but it's a Friday.
Friday. Okay. All right. Lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. And we're working on that social division. With that, I say ashe, ashe, ashe. Oh, good night, everyone, and we love you all.
Good night.
Good night.
Like at 1.1 landmass, right? That doesn't mean that Africa.
See, this is the type of shit we be talking about. She didn't make no goddamn sense. How was humans walking on a planet 200 million years ago? 50 million years ago? Because that's when Pangea existed. Anatomically modern humans did not come about until 300,000 years ago. And then we have archaic humans, maybe 1 million years ago. But no receipts, no evidence, just freestyle.
Like at 1.1 landmass, right? That doesn't mean that.
Please, allow me to show you something.
They say I'm crazy and that might be true. I got this right in my DNA, yet I'm coming for you. It's time we turn the tables, flip these motherfuckers on you. I wanna see you hanging from trees. It's time you pay for your dirt and your shit. You created the monster, you created the beast. Now all this savagery you just gon' reap. I'm coming home, daddy, to the plantation, and I'm taking the lives of everybody, including the children, on some Nat Turner. Oh, do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. I met my girl Harriet at the gate. If you wanna know how she doing, yeah, she's straight. But she had one question: when we gon' get up? All that talking tough, yeah, we don't walk it tough. She got it locked and loaded, got that piece up on her side. She looked me in my eyes and said, "Meet you ready to ride?" Moving forward, you gotta use both eyes. Watch your front and watch your back. keep your hands up on your gas. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. He sit at the table, but he don't order no bacon. He greet me in those words, assalamu alaikum. Got them glasses on his face and them waves in his head. He go by the name of Detroit Red. He looks me in my eye and says you only get one try. Know that your biggest opposition will come from the inside. I know you wanna love them all, but don't even try, because they'll smile up in your face while plotting your demise. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. We are the children of the ancestors that weren't punk bitches. Time's up.